Part 17. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 161. She just had an illusion. The arrangement in pairs in the room made her mistakenly think that this man was going to be with her for the rest of her life, and almost forgot Murong Cheng's frivolous nature. It is said that the 3 caves of the cunning rabbit, I am afraid that he has many other houses like this, even bigger and more luxurious than this villa. So not surprising at all. In the final analysis, she was too ignorant. Murong Cheng then led Mu Ziyi to the study room. The antique carved bookcase was a bit empty, only a few books were scattered here and there, and everything like computer stationery was readily available. This is where Mu Ziyi reviews her homework. Mu Ziyi immediately said that it was time for him to study, and pushed Murong Cheng out. She just didn't want to stay with Murong Cheng. I didn't think about it before, but today I don't want to, it's faintly different. I always feel a little embarrassed, because of my own momentary delusion. But she couldn't stay in the study all the time, even if she wanted to, Murong Cheng would not agree. Mu Ziyi used the computer in the study to find a few mock test papers on the internet, downloaded them and did them casually to pass the time. After doing the questions for a while, I could vaguely smell the smell of food. Mu Ziyi was a little surprised, there was no one else here, could it be that Murong Cheng was cooking? She went downstairs curiously, and saw Murong Cheng's tall and majestic back at a glance. He was standing in front of the open kitchen, frying a steak. Originally, he was extremely handsome, tall and graceful, even wearing an apron and holding a spatula, he looked very pleasing to the eye. It's really enviable. Good looking, powerful, these are fine, but he can actually cook. Mu Ziyi secretly thought, what else can Murong Cheng not know? Just as he was muttering, he saw Murong Cheng put down the spatula, turned off the induction cooker, and took off the apron on his body with one hand. Is the meal ready? Mu Ziyi poked his head and looked around, wanting to see the fruits of Murong Cheng's labor. Murong Cheng frowned slightly, as if a little irritable, and said, it's blurred. Mu Ziyi. This. Murong Cheng didn't know how to cook at all. Think about it too, with Bai Wei as a caring mother, how could it be Murong Cheng's turn to learn how to cook? Mu Ziyi wanted to laugh a little, so she suppressed it by pursing her lips. Are you hungry? Murong Cheng asked with his usual expression. He fried the food, but he didn't feel embarrassed at all, walked over a few steps and pulled Mu Ziyi into his arms, and pressed his warm palms on Mu Ziyi's abdomen, as if he was carefully feeling her already hungry stomach. I called and asked Wang Zhan to bring food, he said. No need, it's such a long road, it's already late at night, and it's dangerous to drive at night in the deep mountains and old forests. Mu Ziyi thinks it's not enough, it's just a meal, and both of them have hands and feet, so why do they have to let others go out at night? Murong Cheng pondered for a moment, then rubbed Mu Ziyi's head, and said, hey, go read the book, I'll try again. After finishing speaking, he retied his apron and walked to the large refrigerator with double doors. He wanted to cook for Mu Ziyi. As if it was a matter of course, even if he doesn't know how to cook at all. Mu Ziyi looked at Murong Cheng's back, feeling warm for no reason. Although he is terribly bad, although he is disgusting, although he is a pervert, but when he is normal, he is handsome without losing his demeanor, gentle and delicate enough to make any woman sink. He made Mu Ziyi feel that he was precious and the only one. Murong Cheng opened the refrigerator door, frowned and picked out new ingredients, seriously thinking about how to make a nutritious and delicious dinner. Looking at his focused expression, Mu Ziyi found him cute. Don't waste things, she took the onion from him, I'll make dinner. Murong Cheng slightly raised his eyebrows, you. Mu Ziyi's cheeks were pinkish red, well, she's actually not very good at cooking. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, Your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 162. Do you know Bibimbap? After a moment of hesitation, Muzi asked him. Murong Cheng didn't answer, but just stared at her with a smile in his eyes. Zizi cooks for him. He only cares about this now, and he is quite happy. Muzi bit the bullet and went to cook. Although her cooking skills are not good, she feels that no matter how bad she is, she should be better than Murong Cheng, right? Big bibimbap is the only dish she can cook. The method is simple and crude. It is to shred all kinds of vegetables, boil them in boiling water, put them into white rice, add seasoned soy sauce and Korean chili sauce, and eat after stirring up. It's delicious and filling, but it doesn't look so beautiful. After Muzi mixed the rice, she was a little ashamed to take out her hand. What Murong Cheng eats outside must be all kinds of high-quality dishes. Even at home, Bai Wei's cooking skills are top-notch. Let him eat this now. Muzi herself couldn't bear it. The red rice is mixed with all kinds of vegetables. It can only be described as pig food. It's been a long time since I've done it, some hands are raw. Muse's cheeks were hot, and he hesitated. It's a bit salty, or, you should call Wangzhan. Murong Cheng quietly looked at the bibimbap on the porcelain plate with gold roses. There were faint rays of light in the pitch-black eyes, silent and focused, as if looking at something very extraordinary. Muzi's face turned even redder. Call Wangzhan. She reached out to grab the plate in front of Murong Cheng, regretting why she had overestimated herself. Murong Cheng pressed her hand, picked up the silver spoon at hand, and took a bite of bibimbap. Muzi was a little nervous, staring at Murong Cheng. Will it be difficult to eat? Then he thought, even if it tastes bad, Murong Cheng deserves it. Who told him to force her to stay in this desolate mountain? He did it on his own accord. Having said that, Muzi still felt a little ashamed. Not bad. Murong Cheng generously praised him, and continued to eat the second, third. Muzi looked at him suspiciously. Murong Cheng's thin lips were slightly raised, and his expression looked very enjoyable. But Muse's own food, how does it taste? Don't you know how it tastes? She tasted it just now, and it was very salty. Could it be that she didn't stir it evenly, so the one she tasted happened to have more chili sauce? Muzi was extremely hungry, although the food in front of her was unsightly, but the things she cooked were always more forgiving. She took 2 mouthfuls with a spoon, and immediately covered her mouth before she could feel it carefully. So spicy. La 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 la. Murong Cheng seemed to have expected it, and handed her a glass of orange juice in due course. Muzi took a sip and coughed again. Murong Cheng put down the tableware in his hand, took her into his arms, and patted her on the back. Don't you think it's spicy? Muzi coughed until her face flushed, and even her eyes were moist. She didn't grasp the portion, put too much chili sauce. Well, it's a bit spicy, Murong Cheng replied with his usual expression while patting her back. Muzi didn't believe it, because Murong Cheng's expression didn't change a bit. Is his bowl of bibimbap different from hers? As if to see through Muzi's thoughts, Murong Cheng asked her with a smile, how about you try it yourself? His smile was shallow and his tone was casual, but Muzi could hear a deep meaning. She felt vigilant, and felt that that naughty Murong Cheng seemed to be back. No. No need. Muzi lowered her brows, her heart beating a little wildly. As predicted. Murong Cheng picked her up and kissed her fiercely, then pressed her on the dining table. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 163. Maybe it was because of panic, maybe it was because it was really too spicy. Muzi forgot to clench her teeth tightly, allowing Murong Cheng to succeed. Murong Cheng's kiss was hot and intense. Although Muzi is a modern adult woman, she has extraordinary cleanliness and conservatism when it comes to love affairs. Her understanding of intimacy is only limited to the meeting of lips. Murong Cheng is like this. Going deep into the mouth, entangled with foam, even the head and teeth were exerted strength, the menacing crusade was disgusting and perverted, and it also carried a bone-destroying horror. When Murong Cheng let go of her, he was satisfied, and asked her with a smile, "Is it spicy?" Muzi's head was also numb, she covered her lips with tears in her eyes, and replied, "Spicy." How could it be? Murong Cheng pinched her face, his tone was warm and ambiguous, "It's clearly sweet." Muzi was speechless. Murong Cheng ate up the rest of the bibimbap one bite at a time. Muzi didn't want to eat it, so she found a bag of instant fruit cereal in the kitchen, and just made do with it for dinner. After eating, the used bowls, chopsticks, and plates were randomly piled up in the sink without cleaning up. Murong Cheng took Muzi to the terrace to watch the sunset. Muzi likes this feeling. The top of the mountain is too high to be cold, and the view at the bottom of the mountain is narrow and restrictive. Only the halfway up the mountain is the most suitable place. Watching a round of red sun slowly fall from the horizon, the sunset glow dyes half of the sky, and the beauty is extremely beautiful. Plausible. If she felt something, she turned her head to look at Murong Cheng beside her. The warm setting sun shone on his face, softening his eyebrows, eyes, and facial features. He was peaceful and remote, without any evil spirits, only handsome and romantic. Muzi felt that Murong Cheng was really a miraculous existence. He always has a way to easily make her go into a rage when she is moved. Like that hot kiss just now. Muzi couldn't help thinking, is Murong Cheng too abnormal, or am I schizophrenic? When it was time to rest at night, Murong Cheng took the initiative to hug the quilt and go to the guest room, which greatly surprised Muzi. Hooligans going to change their minds? Are you sleeping in the guest room these few days? Muzi asked in surprise. Murong Cheng raised his eyebrows and asked her back, "Zizi wants me to stay." Muzi shook her head quickly. Murong Cheng touched her face, with a warm smile in his eyes, "I'm afraid if I stay, you won't be able to get out of bed for the next few days." Muzi's expression froze, his heart just changed a little towards Murong Cheng, and it was instantly shattered. "Apart from those things, can't your mind be purer?" she gritted her teeth. Murong Cheng smiled, "Lying on the same bed with the woman you like, what else can you do besides that?" Muzi scolded him, "Dirty." In the end, I felt that it was not strong enough, so I added harshly, "You are so shallow." Murong Cheng was used to being scolded by her, so he kept smiling. He cupped Muzi's face and bowed his head to kiss him. Muzi was dishonest, pushing and scolding in his arms. "Zizi, what you said is hypocritical and hypocritical," Murong Cheng whispered in her ear. His scorching breath seemed to be able to burn the tip of her heart, "and I will always be true to you, even if I am not in bed." He grabbed her hand and moved it down, making the ignorant Muzi feel the so-called reality. Muzi regained consciousness, like a frightened hedgehog, stomped him hard. The rascal. Play hooligans anytime, anywhere, all the time. Muzi was about to go crazy. She pushed Murong Cheng out with all her strength, and closed the door with a bang. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, and she breathed heavily, recalling what her hand had touched just now. It immediately aroused goosebumps. Muzi rushed into the attached bathroom in the room with aversion to the cold, and scrubbed vigorously. The snow-white foam was rubbed in the palm of my hand, and as I washed it, my mind was unconsciously in a trance. If it was just for playing hooligans, why did Murong Cheng bother so much? Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HhandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 164. At night, she dreamed again. For some reason, she always had dreams when she stayed outside at night, and she couldn't sleep well. But fortunately, the dream this time is not the horrible scene before death, but when she was a child. It seems to be the same early autumn. She and her little friends are playing under the big locust tree. At the intersection, Grandma is wearing an old-fashioned double-breasted gown and embroidered cloth shoes, calling from a distance, "Zi, let's go home for dinner." She ran and jumped home, and there was a wooden table in the yard, on which were two simple dishes, plus a plate of crispy cucumbers pickled by Grandma. When eating, she threw the rice grains that fell on her clothes on the ground to feed the ants. In her ears, she heard her grandmother's careful exhortation, "Zi, you have to study hard. You will be smart if you study a lot. Smart people will not know where they go hungry." Grandma is a woman from the old days. She has never been educated, and she always thinks it is very good for girls to be able to study. Perhaps it was precisely because of growing up with such expectations that Suzy had extremely high demands on herself since she was a child. She has to get the best grades, go to the best school, and have the most beautiful career. She is also quite picky about love, and yearns for the fusion of soul and heart described in famous books. In layman's terms, it is platonic love, which values spiritual companionship. She has never fallen in love with anyone, but because of her own excellence, there are always many suitors around her, and Musenning is the one who loves the most. After a long time, everyone gradually acquiesced that Musenning and her were a couple, and the other suitors withdrew one after another. Seeing the age of marriage, Grandma often thinks about it. The old man is not in good health. She is always worried that her granddaughter will be alone in this world after her death. If she can get married, at least she will have someone to rely on. She didn't want to make the old man feel sorry. If you get married, Musenning is undoubtedly the best choice in front of you. If you can't find someone I love, just find someone who loves me. This is also a kind of happiness. The wedding date was soon set, and people sent blessings one after another. The young and promising third young master of the Mu family, and the most outstanding female prosecutor in Xinjiang, seemed to be a perfect match. However, just a week before the wedding, the grandmother passed away suddenly, and the old man couldn't see his granddaughter in the wedding dress after all. The death of her grandma hit her hard. She lost her only relative in the world. She was devastated. If she hadn't taken into account Musenning's infatuation, she wouldn't even be able to survive a simple wedding scene. In my hometown, there is a tradition of keeping filial piety. During the period of filial piety, fancy clothes and food are taboo, and intercourse is even more taboo. The times are different now, and if this kind of thing is brought up, I'm afraid it will be laughed at, but she is immersed in grief and really has no mood for that matter, and Musenning just happened to be seriously ill, so this matter was discussed by the two of them. Put it down for now. Although they have been married for a year, the two have always kept a distance, and there are very few kisses. Could it be because of this that he was with Jiao Jingjia? Thinking about it now, she is indeed not a qualified wife, and she didn't put her heart and soul into managing this marriage. Even so, he shouldn't lie to her. In marriage, love is just the icing on the cake, the most important thing is loyalty. Muzi lay quietly on the bed. She was already awake, but felt so tired that she didn't want to open her eyes. A dream has gone through her entire first half of her life. She has been dazzling and failed, but now, she is exhausted physically and mentally. I heard the sound of flapping wings. Muzi opened her eyes, and found that the little crow flew onto the bed at some point, was stepping on the quilt, and tilted her head to look at her. It looks radiant, with black and shiny feathers, and a tuft of short, thin white hairs on its forehead, which looks like eyes at first glance, which is very strange. It has been able to flutter several meters away, and it will probably fly away in a short time. Thinking of this in her heart, Muzi couldn't help feeling a little melancholy. She doesn't like keeping pets because she can't stand being apart. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 165. Muzi got up, washed up, and fed water to the little crow. Opening the door, I unexpectedly heard Murongcheng talking downstairs. It was vague and unclear, but it was indeed his voice. She went downstairs curiously, and saw Murongcheng busy in the kitchen again. The difference from yesterday was that there was a large LCD screen beside Murongcheng, and there was a French chef inside, demonstrating in real time. Muzi was shocked and also felt very fantastic. He actually hired a chef, online distance teaching. Just to make a meal? Murongcheng communicated with the other party in French, with beautiful pronunciation and fluent conversation. He held the kitchen utensils with his slender fingers, and the simple cooking movements made by him looked handsome and noble, with great demeanor. Muzi stood at the table in a daze, not knowing when she sat down, just watching Murongcheng make delicious food under the guidance of the chef. The hot dishes are fried foie gras and veal stew in white sauce, the soup is puff pastry onion soup, and the dessert is souffle cheese. Muzi guessed that he must have gotten up very early, because it would take a long time to prepare the ingredients. My heart is strange, I can't tell what it feels like. Finally, Murongcheng said to the chef, "Au revoir." Goodbye. Muzi immediately asked him, "Why do you want to learn French cuisine? Study is exhausting, so you have to eat some good supplements." Murongcheng said in the usual tone, "Are you going to eat cereal every day these days?" Muzi was speechless. Of course not. Instead of cereal, she can have instant noodles, or make bibimbap again. Murongcheng put the clean and beautiful tableware in front of her, and said, "Try it, if it doesn't taste good, I'll change the cook next time." Muzi pouted. Really arrogant, if it doesn't taste good, just change the cook. Why don't you find the reason from yourself? Muzi cursed in her heart, holding the knife and fork, and ate slowly. Delicious. After all, I follow the chef step by step to make it, even if it doesn't reach the chef's level, it will definitely not be unpalatable. It's just that Muzi ate it in her mouth, so she didn't know the taste. Eat more, Murongcheng said, grow your body well, and make up for the places that shouldn't be thin. It's really less than 3 sentences, and it's not serious. Normally, Muzi would have scolded him furiously, but today she didn't know if it was a cannibalism, but she kept her head down and ate silently. Next time, let Wang Zhan bring food over after eating for a while, Muzi said softly. Isn't it delicious? Murongcheng asked her. Muzi shook her head, delicious. But, it would make her feel awkward and, unable to get along with herself. Indescribably, it made her uncomfortable. Murongcheng didn't ask any more questions, he just said, "Come out for half a day today, either in the morning or in the afternoon, I'll take you around the mountain. It's rare to come out to play, and you can't really shut up in the house and read every day, wasting this beautiful scenery." Muzi lowered her eyes to eat, her thick black eyelashes trembled slightly, and the bottom of her eyes shone faintly, as if yearning. "In the afternoon, take the little crow with you," she said softly, "if it likes it, it can stay and live in the mountains." Muzi has been looking for a suitable habitat for the little crow. Murongcheng asked her, "I see you like it quite a lot, why don't you keep it by your side and keep it?" Muzi's tone was faint, "What's the point of being detained by someone's side? How nice it is to be free." In her words, there is a bit of a metaphor for her own meaning. Murongcheng was silent for a moment, then raised her chin with his hand, and said, "Do you feel that you are not free?" Muzi pursed her lips and did not answer. Murong Cheng lowered his head and licked the souffle from the corner of her mouth, and said in a low voice, "Zizi, I am the one who is not free, you have completely tied me up." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 166. After eating, the two changed their luggage, put on comfortable hiking shoes and set off. Muzi doesn't like mountain climbing, but if it's just for wandering in the mountains, she's still yearning for it. The two walked on foot, because they were not in a hurry, so they were very leisurely. The smooth concrete road only extends forward for a short distance before reaching the end, and further in, there are dense forests and shrubs. A trail hides within, almost covered in vegetation. Are there wolves in the mountains? Or snakes? Muzi followed Murong Cheng in, and found that the woods were denser than she imagined, and most of the sunlight above her head was blocked. She subconsciously hugged the messenger bag to her chest, worried that the little crow would be snatched by some animal. Murong Cheng made fun of her from the side. You are the one who wants it to be free, and you are the one who is worried about its death. Why don't you ask the crow for its opinion? Muzi gave him an angry look, and walked forward sullenly. After walking for a while, the trees became less dense and lush, and the bright sunlight dotted the shade, casting magical beams of light. The air is filled with the faint fragrance of grass and trees. Along the way, there was no surprise or danger. Musa was attracted by the scenery in the forest, and gradually forgot to be alert to danger. She looked around strangely with her nimble black eyes. Stare for a long time. Murong Cheng, look, Muzi pointed to a bush, there are a lot of fruits here. She was very happy, with a smile on her face, delicate and cute, like an ignorant and innocent child. Murong Cheng stood not far away, looking at Muzi who was picking wild berries, with fascination in his eyes. He was right, since he met her, his heart has never been free. She was like a goblin, sometimes innocent, sometimes charming, as if possessing some kind of enchanting magic, which locked his soul firmly. He really loves her. Murong Cheng found it incredible that he had sunk to such an extent for a woman. At that time, the news of her marriage came suddenly, and he was caught in the Huo family's power struggle, not only to kill, but also to prevent being killed. At the wedding, he watched her approach Muzenning step by step in white sand. At that time, he asked himself, should he snatch that woman over? But he can't protect himself. After snatching her, how can he protect her? Or, for her peace, give up the territory and forces that the Huo family is about to acquire, and stay away from fighting? No, how could he be willing to give up on something he has been fighting for so long? Thinking about it this way, he felt that he didn't love her that much. Just seeing the two kissing each other with the blessing of the guests drove him mad with jealousy. He can't have her. Don't allow others to get her. Murong Cheng, who was tortured by jealousy, was selfish and cruel. He did some tricks and made Muzenning suffer so much that he almost lost his life. Now going around, she still belongs to him after all. Murong Cheng approached Muzi and brushed her hair hanging from her temples behind her ears. Muzi didn't realize it, and lowered her head to put the raspberries scattered on the ground into a canvas bag. This is raspberry, there are still many ahead. Murong Cheng led her forward. Sure enough, there were more wild fruits ahead. Musa was very excited, pointed to a tree of fruit and said, I recognize this one, this is lantern fruit, right? After picking a lot, Muzi began to worry again, but we can't finish it, will it be a waste? Staying on the tree will only rot. Murong Cheng rubbed the top of her hair and said, it can be squeezed into juice, or let mother make jam. Hearing this, Muzi grinned, sincerely smiling, bright and bright, and her bright eyes became even brighter. Murong Cheng's heart was slightly hot, and he pressed her against the tree trunk and kissed her enough. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 167. They picked up a lot of wild fruits on the mountain, all kinds of them, such as red thorn rose fruit, round shandingzi, and swarthy old black eyes. The little crow liked it very much. When Mu Zi was picking it, it ate a lot, but rather than eating, it preferred to play with it in its mouth. Crows like small objects with bright colors. Mu Zi also found a pomegranate tree. The pomegranates are ripe now, and the pomegranates are red and plump, hanging on the branches, heavy. Mu Zi was not very interested in eating pomegranates, but she fell in love with the fun of picking them. She picked a lot of big pomegranates, and let Murong Cheng pick the ones that were out of reach until their bags were full. When it was time to go down the mountain, Mu Zi was shocked to realize that the time passed so quickly, and before he knew it, the sun had already set. She played wildly with Murong Cheng on the mountain all afternoon. Murong Cheng was strolling in the mountains and forests, holding the harvest of the two of them throughout the afternoon in his hands. The warm sunset shone on him, his face was blurred in the golden backlight, and his voice became more gentle. Zi, it's time to go home for dinner. Mu Zi was in a daze. It seems that the direction he is in really has the warmth of home. But, he is Murong Cheng, the gambler and loveless scumbag Murong Cheng. Maybe being promiscuous is just his disguise? In order to hide his secret identity of helping the Huo family. Mu Zi's heart skipped a beat. She was shocked. She was defending Murong Cheng? Why did she help him find excuses? What kind of mystery drug did Murong Cheng give her? There are too many fruits to pick, especially pomegranates, which are very heavy. When going up the mountain, I was light, but now I am going down the mountain, but I find that there are many difficulties. Muse's backpack was full of fruits, and he was out of breath after walking for a while, but he worked so hard to pick them. Did he just stay in the mountains? Mu Zi was reluctant. Murong Cheng couldn't stand it any longer, and stretched out his hand to carry her back, but suddenly thought of something, withdrew his hand, and knelt down in front of Mu Zi. Come up. Mu Zi was a little embarrassed. The fruits in Murong Cheng's hand are more and heavier than those on her shoulders. She hesitated and did not move. Murong Cheng said, "You walk too slowly, it will be dark by the time you get home, and there are no street lights on the mountain." Everything he said made sense. Mu Zi pursed her lips, not wanting to be pretentious. She lay on Murong Cheng's back in silence. In this way, all the burden is on Murong Cheng. Will it be heavy? Mu Zi asked softly, uncomfortably. Well, it's very heavy. Murong Cheng lifted her up and said, like a little pig. Nonsense. Mu Zi shyly stretched out her hand to pinch Murong Cheng's face. Murong Cheng laughed heartily. Mu Zi's face became even hotter. The road down the mountain was rugged and winding. Murong Cheng was tall and had long legs. He carried her and a lot of fruits on his back as he walked on the road, striding calmly, as if walking on flat ground. After walking out of the dense forest, Mu Zi saw the magnificent sunset, and the setting sun stretched the shadows of her and him very long. Mu Zi quietly lay on Murong Cheng's back, her gaze followed the shadow on the ground, her face unconsciously showing confusion. Later, she fell asleep on his back. This sleep lasted from evening to night, and when I woke up, it was already 8 o'clock in the evening. Mu Zi sat on the bed in a daze, thinking that Murong Cheng called her a pig. It was really not wronged at all. Every time she was with him, she could eat and sleep. Isn't she just a pig? Nothing. Mu Zi scolded herself in a low voice, and got up from the bed in embarrassment. The dining table downstairs was already filled with dishes and freshly squeezed juice, which Murong Cheng must have just prepared, but there was no sign of Murong Cheng. Mu Zi felt strange. So she went upstairs to look for him, but he was not in the guest room, but the light in the study was on. She walked into the study and found Murong Cheng looking at her laptop. Muzi was startled, and took a few steps to close the computer. Murong Cheng raised his eyes calmly, his deep eyes were as black as ink, and asked lightly, "Are you investigating Suzi's case?" Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 168. Muzi was startled for a moment, then came back to his senses, and said angrily, "How can you look at my things casually? Do you understand privacy?" "Privacy," Murong Cheng laughed, "I've kissed and touched your whole body, are you talking about privacy with me?" Muzi immediately became furious, shameless. Murong Cheng sighed with a smile, and said, "Okay, now that you've woken up, let's go downstairs to eat. I just want to see your recent homework. Who knew you were investigating Suzi's case?" After he explained in this way, the anger in Muse's heart subsided a little, but his face was still full of anger. Murong took her downstairs to eat, and the two walked down the stairs next to each other. When Muzi saw the food on the table, he thought of his hard work all day, and the last bit of anger dissipated without a trace. He should just care about my homework, Muzi thought to herself. However, recalling Murong Cheng's question just now, she belatedly became nervous again. As the adopted daughter of the Mu family, investigating Suzi's case seemed so unusual no matter how she explained it. And Murong Cheng seemed to have no intention of asking any more. This didn't make Muse feel relieved, this matter was like a ticking time bomb, instead she became even more nervous. "Don't you think it's strange?" During dinner, Muzi pretended to be chatting, and said to Murong Cheng, "How could a living person fall off the boat for no reason? After all, the third sister-in-law has many enemies. The police said it was an accident, but no one suspected it." There was puzzlement in her eyes, as if the investigation was just a child's curiosity. Murong Cheng said lightly, "The word accident originally meant something sudden and unexpected, without any reason." "You also think it was an accident?" Muzi drank the soup from a small bowl, keeping her eyes fixed on Murong Cheng, "but I think, the third sister-in-law might have been killed by someone. It is said that the authorities are fans, and she wants to know how the bystanders view this case." Hearing this, Murong Cheng raised his eyes to look at Muzi, the corners of his mouth slightly turned up, and there was a faint smile on his face. "Oh? Then Zi thinks, who killed Suzi? I don't know." Muse blinked her eyes, with an innocent expression, "Many people are suspicious, maybe it's the third brother who is greedy for insurance money, maybe it's Jiao Jingjia who hates it because of love? Or maybe, brother. Or someone else." Murong Cheng couldn't help laughing, reached out and rubbed her head, and said, "Concentrate on studying. Take her words as childish gibberish." Muzi felt a little lost. However, after feeling overwhelmed, he felt relieved, because Murong Cheng didn't seem to have any doubts about her. They stayed on the mountain for 3 days and 2 nights. When they were about to leave, Wang Zhan came to pick them up in person. Murong Cheng put a door key in Muzi's hand, and said, "When I'm not around, you can come here by yourself. It's very clean here, and it's good to read and relax." Muzi felt that she should refuse. But by a strange coincidence, she accepted the key. They returned with a rewarding experience. He brought back a lot of wild fruits from the mountain, and at the same time, there were gifts prepared by Murong Cheng in advance. Since he verbally claimed to take his sister out on a trip, he had to buy some special products to look decent when he came back. The items are some uncommon ingredients and condiments, obviously selected according to Bai Wei's preferences. Bai Wei couldn't be happier. Muzi is also in a good mood. When Murong Cheng was not playing hooligans, he was really a gentle and considerate good man. He would give her all kinds of gifts, arrange food, clothing, housing, and transportation, learn how to cook for her, and carry her on his back when she was tired. However, he is definitely not a good person. He is domineering and unreasonable, and he can always make her jump in anger when he is an asshole, and he is always normal for less than 3 minutes. I thought about it, unconsciously, his heart was full of Murong Cheng. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 169. In October, autumn is high and crisp. Although it is autumn, it is not cloudy and cold. Every day is a sunny day, warm and pleasant. After returning from the mountains, there is not much left for the National Day holiday. The students are enjoying their last vacation, and Musa is reviewing her homework in her room every day, waiting for the grade-up assessment after the vacation. Murong Cheng didn't bother her anymore. He is not an idle person, he is often not at home, and his family only thinks that he is a big playboy, and he is not surprised in some casino or women's den. Don't look at your brother's idleness now, he was very smart when he was young, Bai Wei said to Muzi like this. No matter how scumbag her son is, it's still her own son. Bai Wei can only feel sorry for her. She chatted with Muzi about the past. He was admitted to Gray as a top student, but Luo Junkai said that the family needs to save money and send Mu Zening to Gray to study, so there is no extra money to send your brother there. I wanted to pay for the tuition myself, but your brother doesn't allow it. I'm afraid that if I take out the money, Luo Junkai will snatch it away. Luo Junkai is the deceased MRS Mu. Bai Wei let out a long sigh and said, your brother is actually a very filial child. Hearing what she said, Muzi seemed to be able to imagine how a lonely and weak boy lived under the hands of his domineering stepmother. Mu Zening is Luo Junkai's biological son. Even when he mentioned his mother, he frowned. One can imagine how unkind Luo Junkai was when she was alive. And then, Muzi asked curiously, after graduating from junior high school, did he continue to study? Bai Wei nodded and said, later your brother went to Lanyan High School. Although that school is not as good as Gray, it is still very good. Muzi lamented how small this world is. She graduated from Lanyan High School, and she never thought that Murong Cheng and her were alumni. But why didn't she have any impression of him? Bai Wei said again, I don't expect to be rich, I just hope that your brother can start a family and take responsibility. He is not young and can't keep messing around like this. At this age, he should have been engaged and married long ago. One person. This topic was a bit embarrassing for Muzi. She forced a smile and didn't speak. What can she say? If Murong Cheng was making trouble outside, she would have been molested for nothing, and she would be in an embarrassing situation. If Murong Cheng had a special liking for her, her situation would only be even more embarrassing if they were brothers and sisters. Why didn't Miss Su come home last time? Zizi, did your brother mention Miss Su? Bai Wei asked her. Muzi looked blank. Miss Su? What Miss Su? Bai Wei rested her chin and thought, it seems to be, Su Xian? Your brother's girlfriend. Muzi was dumbfounded. She didn't expect Bai Wei's memory to be so good. She had long forgotten about that girl, let alone her name. I'm not sure. I'm going to read a book, Mom, Muzi said. Bai Wei immediately got up and walked out the door. When she left, she did not forget to tell her, don't study too late. As the door closed, Muzi let out an inaudible sigh, and then looked at the textbook in front of her, feeling restless, unable to read a single word. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of the grade jumping assessment, and Muzi got up early in the morning. The Mu family's car was parked in front of the big iron gate, and Mu Ling sat in the car and waved to her with a bright smile on his face. I'm afraid there will be traffic jams on the road today, so let's start early so as not to delay my little aunt's exam. Mu Ling was quite considerate of Mu Ziyi in his words. Mu Ziyi understood that Mu Ling's acting some time ago was for the purpose of harvesting results today. Xiao Ling, thank you. Mu Ziyi smiled, her bright eyes shining brightly. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 170. Mu Ziyi's dazzling smile made Mu Ling's hair swell when she looked at it, but when she thought of her next plan, a smug smile appeared on her face again. Mu Ziyi got into the car and sat in the back seat with Mu Ling. The car drove forward smoothly and left the Mu family mansion. Have you brought all the things? Scribble pencils, gel pens, erasers, rulers, check it out, don't miss anything. Mu Ling was very understanding and took the initiative to remind her to check the test supplies. Of course Mu Ling wouldn't be so kind. Mu Ziyi knew it well, calmed down her emotions, and said with a smile, I just checked before I left, so I brought all of them. Let's check again. If something is missing, you can go back and get it before the car is too far away from home. Mu Ling persuaded again. Mu Ziyi thought for a while, nodded and said, okay, I'll take another look. She opened her school bag and took out a pencil case and student ID card from it. You don't need to bring too many things for the exam, and it would be cumbersome to bring too much. Mu Ling hurriedly opened Mu Ziyi's pen bag, raised her eyes and smiled, and said, Little aunt, why do you only bring 2 pens, what if there are not enough pens? I usually bring extra pens with me when I take the exam. Mu Ziyi brought 2 pens, one for the exam and the other for backup in case there is no water or the tip of the pen is broken. But if both pens break, that's bad. Mu Ling opened her school bag and took out a pencil case, which contained many pens of all kinds. She said enthusiastically, you can choose 2, and bring a few more pens to be safe. Mu Ziyi stared at it for a while, her eyelashes drooped, and she concealed a faint sneer in her eyes, and said, thank you, Xiao Ling. She took 2 pens from Mu Ling's pencil case and put them in her own. Mu Ling personally helped Mu Zi put the pencil case back into the school bag, and looked through the other items in the school bag, saying that he was afraid that Mu Zi might miss something, so she was very enthusiastic. Mu Ziyi didn't stop her, the corners of her lips were slightly raised, and her eyes were lowered to reveal nothing. Mu Ling finally breathed a sigh of relief after finishing what Mu Yun had told him, but it was hard to avoid the pain in his heart when he remembered that this plan had cost him a lot of money. However, if you can get rid of Mu Ziyi, no matter how much money you spend, it will be worth it. After Mu Ziyi drops out of school, she can think of a way to get her father to get the 2 million back. Mu Ziyi doesn't go to school anymore, what's the use of asking so much tuition? The money should be returned. Maybe when dad is happy, he will reward her with a lot of pocket money, and the expenses this time will be regarded as a small investment. Mu Ling was very proud, with a happy smile on the corner of his mouth. The plan went very well, just as my sister said. Mu Ziyi also had a faint smile on her face, as if she didn't know anything about it. She calmly watched the passing traffic outside the car window. Stupid Mu Ziyi, your good days are over. Even the Zhang family can't save you this time. Obediently go to the countryside and be a country bumpkin. The status of a famous lady is not something a slut like you can imagine. Mu Ling seemed to be able to imagine the scene, the severe reprimand by the school leader, the contemptuous eyes of the students. Mu Ziyi was kicked out of the school crying, notorious and in a state of embarrassment. Mu Ziyi no longer has the face to stay in Xinjiang City, so she can only go to the countryside with her tail between her legs to seek a living. Thinking of this, Mu Ling almost laughed out loud. Then she really heard laughter, but it wasn't her own voice, but Mu Ziyi's. Mu Ling was slightly stunned, and asked, Little aunt, what are you laughing at? Muzi didn't look at her, her bright black eyes were still looking out of the car window. She raised her lips and said, "It's nothing, I just suddenly thought of something funny." Muling didn't ask any more, but he thought viciously in his heart, "Laugh, laugh, it will be your turn to cry in a while."